like, to kind of paint the picture, I remember one morning I was out in California, went downstairs, and my housemates had pizza on the counter in the morning, like, and it's honestly pretty good to crush a couple pieces of pizza that's cold in the morning.
Oh,
but
cold pizza's the best.
Cold pizza in the morning is the best.
Spot.
But I went to eat it, and I had a couple pieces, and I was like, all right, game over, we're done. Rest of the day is gonna be pretty bad. Let's just keep this going. And it was just like this, like, I would attribute it to God, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know where I am in terms of my faith, but I'll just tell the story as I know it to be true. There was just like this peace and this understanding, and like my brain almost reoriented, like with this, like, all the different thoughts and all the frustrations and all the don't eat that just like stopped. And it was just like kind of like Teresa, just put the peanut butter down. Like, I'm not, it was kind of like this, not anything verbal. I don't think I'm crazy that much, but it was like this just knowing of like, oh, God's not telling me to not eat the peanut butter because he doesn't want me to enjoy myself. It's like God is love. Like, it's that thing is telling me not to eat the peanut butter because he doesn't want me to spiral downward. And then there was this feeling of, oh my God, I want to do everything that's good for me. And like, meaning like, I want to actually will my own good. Like, I don't want to go binge eating. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to eat healthy. And I want to enjoy food sometimes too. Like, I don't even know how to, that's gonna be another thing. Like, I actually want to will my own good, and to will your own good is to love yourself. That's what I realized the definition of love is. And that's where it's like, oh, God is love. Like, it's that component in us that wants us to do what is good for ourselves.
Right. I mean, that was God definitely working through you and trying to help you define what love is and what self-love.
Or what he is, or what it is too. Because again, going back to like thinking God's a man in the sky that wants you to do this and not do that, there was this realization of like, oh, that's why he says he's a merciful God. That's why they say love is patient, love is kind. Like, God is love, therefore God is kind. It's almost too good to be true too. So I think when we, or I myself, find myself in like a downward phase, it's like I can't get back to that spot of realizing or of just accepting that it is too good to be true. Like, God is something that loves you and wants to will your good every single second of every single day. It's saying like, oh, you binged 8, you don't have to ruin the rest of your day. You can go out for a walk and you don't have to hate yourself that entire walk. You can enjoy the heck out of it. Yeah. Like, that's who he is. Like, that's, you know, he's merciful. Yeah. Everything. I hate to bring it back to faith, but I don't know. Like, it really did paint it really did help. This is why I say like the pits of hell and the heights of beauty, because it really led me to understand what even Christianity is. And that for me, in understanding it was really important because I grew up in a very staunch Catholic household. So there was always this question of like, what is this thing like that they believe in so much but it doesn't make sense? Like, I need to understand what this is because they believe it to be true and good, and I just don't get it.
And I think it's unfortunately in those times where you're in the pits of hell where you actually see God working.
Oh yeah.
And where you're okay, that's what they're talking about. Yeah. That's God.
Yeah. Because too, like, that's, if it's light out, how can you shine a light? How can you see the light? It's dark out, that's where you see the light. I think of like, I think of Lord of the Rings a lot, right? Because, you know, it's kind of, well, it's a movie. I love that freaking movie. It's like, it is a theological text, not in the sense of it being the Bible, but it's an archetypical story. It paints reality, right? And that's what the Bible does. Whether all of those stories are true or not, it paints what happens in life, right? Like, I think of Cain and Abel. Isn't it, you know, Cain killed Abel because of his pride. Isn't it not true that we all like want to lash out at other people because of our pride? Whether or not Cain and Abel existed, I'm not here to argue for or against that. It is true that we all do that. We get prideful and then we lash out not even prideful in the sense of like, flip my hair, I'm amazing. We get prideful in the sense of not doing what is ultimately best for us. I think that is pride, because I think that pride is the opposite of what love is. Like, to do what love is to do what's ultimately best, and to not is to then rely on your own self as opposed to love and God, so to speak. But what was I getting at?
I mean, that was a great, great, insightful.
Prideful. Right, we want to do what's prideful, and then we lash out, not even in the sense of like, oh my God, I'm so amazing, but in the sense of like, for example, a couple weeks ago, I had binge ate the night before I was supposed to fly out to a wedding, and then I knew in my head the right thing to do would be to wake up and to get on that plane and go to the wedding, and I knew it was going to upset my sister and stuff if I wasn't there. It wasn't her wedding, but like, I didn't listen to the thing that I knew to be ultimately good for me. I did the opposite. I followed my own will, my own pride, so to speak, and it did lead to chaos, and it did lead to a downward spiral and everything.
And it's like, it's so easy now pinpointing that and acknowledging that. In the moment, it's so hard to get yourself to do what's right. Yeah,
the temptation. Yeah. I'm just like, no, I just want to stew in my own filth.
It eats you
know what I mean? You're just like, no, I just want to stay down here. Yeah. I know what I was getting at. Lord of the Rings. I think, there's this, Frodo's going to Mordor, okay? He's going into the pits of hell to cast the ring into the pits of fire, to get rid of evil. And that's just, in itself, that's such a metaphor of like, you gotta go into the pits of hell to get rid of evil, because that's where light is. But he's, walking along at this one point, and he falls down, and he has this flashback, and he looks up, and this elvish queen, like kind of like a representation of like a Mother Mary type of figure, the elvish queen hands him this, it's called the elixir of life, or the Elendil light, or whatever, hands him this ball of light and says like, this task has been appointed to you, Frodo, you alone, and if you don't complete it, then nobody will. Like, handing him the light in the pits of darkness to be like, you have to do this, and I think for our own life, it's like,
you're in control of your own life.
Like, you have to do the thing that's been appointed to you, whatever that might be. For somebody it could be being a garbage man. Literally, it could be being a garbage man. Like, I think about that all the time. I'm so grateful, because I don't want to pick up garbage. I don't think I would be strong enough to like hold on to the back of the garbage truck all day.
I would fall off.
Yeah, I'd be terrified. So like, I just think I'm like, we all are just here for a different purpose.
We all have a different purpose.
Yeah. Whatever it may be. Some people are meant to go be CEOs and do big things, and other people are meant to do more modest things, but we need them. We need our garbage men.
Exactly. Yeah. And even then, like, I think I'm still trying to find my purpose in life. And this can be a whole different conversation. But I mean, I remember going back, relating it back to food and faith, when we met sophomore year in college. We had a very deep, intimate conversation about our struggles, and you recommended me 2 different books. One of them was Full. That's what it was called, I think. The other one was like Woman in Faith and something. It's Woman in Faith and Foods, another faith and food related book. And those 2 books honestly like changed my perspective and healed my mindset towards food at the moment. That was before COVID, because in COVID, square one again. But,
it's okay with everybody.
But at the time, it really did help me and heal me. And it kind of, again, connected, that faith element into food, and viewing food as more of like a blessing, because we're so privileged and so grateful to actually have the resources to have food. It's such a cliche thing to say, but it's like, we are grateful. This is like a privilege, because other people don't have this easy access to food. But here I am abusing that right now, and like turning to food and as like something that's like evil for me.
Mm-hmm.
And turning to food as like, you know, like shame or something, a type of shame or guilt, when it really shouldn't be that way. Food is fuel. Food is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm abusing that.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, like, yeah, I guess it helped me shift my mindset. And I just feel like at the end of the day, just like having that like gratitude really does help me, and especially in relationship to food. And like it showed me like, okay, like I have it, I have this blessing to fuel my body. And again, it relates to your point of like, I want to do what's best for my body.
Mm-hmm.
Or I want to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to feel good if I just keep eating, overeating.
Mm-hmm.
The food's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always going to have it. It's not like I don't have it. It's not like I'm, you know, trying to scarf down everything because it's not going to be given to me, or I'm not going to be able to get it the following day.
Mm-hmm.
Like that piece of cake or something. Like I can go to a store, easily go to a store and get myself a piece of cake.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the issue. So
continue.
no, but like, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say too, like, that doing what's ultimately best for you, it's not even something that you can't even write it down, because it's, well, sometimes you should eat this, sometimes you shouldn't eat that. It's such like a fluctuating thing that like you have to understand intuitively, which like how can I even explain it? Like you can't even write down this diet or this way to eat. It's almost just like a knowing.
Yeah.
Right? And they say, like, the mystics from ancient Greece say, like, to know God is to know oneself truly. And it's like just to know yourself and like what your body needs at that moment and at that time. And we can't do it perfectly, right? Because we don't know exactly what we need. But it's such a fluctuating thing. And again, it's something that is so personal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which gets all away from the more rigid types of diets and everything.
Right. I think it's really just about listening to your body as well. I think that's a skill that is not developed overnight.
Yeah.
It's something that you just build over time, and like actually like washing that pride away and just being okay, like who am I, and like what do I need? What do I need? And just listening to your body and getting to know your body. And that's when the healing can kind of happen, is when you kind of just strip that guard, strip that pride, and just be.
Yeah.
Be still.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
It's funny, and I was going to say that you bring up those books. I don't even remember recommending those to you, but the person that gave them to me was, well, my cousin who I did interview on here as well, who, you know, struggled with. So it's just funny. I don't even remember giving you those books. I don't even know if I believed in God at that time, but I was just so set in like, if I'm gonna do something, it has to be associated with the faith or whatever, or else, you know, it's bad. But
there you are. I felt like God was working through you, and you saw that I was struggling, and you extended your hand to help me. And you didn't even really realize it at the time.
I didn't even believe it. I was like, here, somebody gave me these books. Yeah, and I mean, I do struggle, especially with this problem where I'm like, I genuinely, like, they say God can do anything, and I'm like, I don't know if I believe in God, because I genuinely don't believe that he can take this away, this issue. Like, I've had it for years. It fluctuates, it still comes and it still goes. A part of me thinks like this problem has brought me so much understanding. It's fueled me in so many ways. This issue at hand has like fueled me in so many, like, it's literally brought me to rock bottom so many times. So like my head, I am flashing back to like the 35,000 lows I've had every time you binge eat. Like, I don't know about you, but like, does it not like just knock you to the floor?
Yeah.
And then you gotta spend the next 2 weeks spiraling back up again.
Yep.
Only to
Only
be
to go
knocked back to the floor, spiral back up again. But when I am knocked down to the floor, like, I was thinking about this the other day. One, that's when I write the best, because that's where I'm depressed. So I feel things, and then I can write, and I can think, and like, I'm very contemplative, you know what I mean? And when I'm good, I'm like, not much going on. I just like, feel less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's not really much in there.
Yeah, I'm like thinking about this the other day, and this is something obviously that I need to get help for, but like, it calms me down. It brings me to square one after I binge eat. So it completely calms me down, and everything after binge eating is good enough for me. Like when I'm doing okay in life, nothing's good enough for me. Nothing I do is good enough. I feel that. Yeah. After you binge eat, everything is better than binge eating. So it's like, I go for a walk, I'm like, this is good because I didn't binge eat. Like, I drink water, I'm like, this is healthy because it's better than what I just did an hour ago.
Yeah, it's better than freaking rock bottom just a few hours ago.
Yeah. So, versus like when you're on top drinking water, it's like, yeah, you should be doing that.
But yeah, I definitely understood that feeling of like constant defeat after binging. And just like, you just like don't want to do anything.
No.
You
don't want to be seen.
You don't want to be seen. The amount of things, the amount of like family events that I probably skipped because of my stupid binging. And I was like,
I'm so glad to hear that, because literally last week I missed a family wedding.
That's okay. I mean, it happens. And like, just like sometimes it's too strong of a feeling, too strong of like a darkness to just get you back up and see the light.
Yeah.
But yeah, the amount of family outings, like I remember, like, I think it was in high school or maybe like college, like my summer, like the summer during college, and I binged, and then again I locked myself in my room, and then my parents, my mom and my sister, they were trying to get me to go to my cousin's kid's like first birthday, and I didn't go. And now I'm like, wow, that was so selfish of me. I really just let that darkness just consume me, and I missed a beautiful moment. I missed my cousin's kid's first birthday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it happens to the best of us.
I know, and just, but like you said, it does steal us from those moments of joy.
Yeah.
And everything. I was gonna say something. I can't remember what it was.
Intermission.
This
podcast is sponsored by absolutely nothing.
Can we start a business called Absolutely Nothing?
You're onto something.
It's just a Ponzi scheme that I have in order to help me make it seem like this is legitimate. You know what I mean? Hello! This advertisement break is brought to you by absolutely nothing. Except for the Ponzi scheme I've been working on over the past couple of months. Where have I gotten my ideas from? Of course, watching Peaky Blinders. What else is it good for? I'm just kidding. I don't know what accent that is. No Ponzi scheme, no pyramid scheme. I just wanted to ask if you'd consider hitting the subscribe button. I know the quality's bad, and I know the audio is really bad, but trust me, I'm getting better. So consider hitting the subscribe button, carry on, enjoy the rest of the video, and enjoy the rest of your holiday. Oh, what was I gonna say?
It's okay, we can edit all of this out.
Yeah. No, I think it was just relating to like, I can't remember.
I mean, I guess we can also talk about how we came about.
Oh, yes! Yeah. Oh, that's a great,
right?
That's a great story. Yeah.
I think you tell it.
Okay. Oh no, now the pressure's on. I feel like I won't tell it all that good. Okay, it's not like this crazy moment. But anyway, I had no friends freshman year because I was absolutely mute. And I was sitting on my bed Friday evening eating Ben & Jerry's and watching Friends, because I did that every Friday evening, and I get a knock on my door. Elsa?
We both knew.
And these girls from my floor were like, hey was just like, if there's a God, he has spoken. I was like, yep, I'll live with you guys because I have no friends. And Inez and some of her friends happened to also be living in that house, which is really funny because freshman year, I got out of my comfort zone because I was going to try and make friends. And Inez and her 3 friends were at this little book club thing or whatever.
Oh
Not
my
book,
gosh.
it was like a seminar.
It was a seminar. It was like this like required reading for our class.
Yeah, it was a seminar. I think it was like extra credit to go, and I went and I sat next to her and the 3 girls and, you know, kind of just said hello, and me being a nerd was like, I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna listen to this book thing. Not a nerd, I was just like...
You were a scholar.
You know what it was is you guys got up to leave and I was like, oh, I don't have the confidence to now leave with them. Like, I was gonna sit with them and then talk a little bit afterwards, but now I gotta get up and go with them. Nope, we're good. But anyway, I sat next to her and they were like, Teresa, like, we're gonna go or whatever. They were really nice. But anyway, I was like, all right, you know what? I tried.
I think it was like, I like offered, I was like, we're gonna go.
You did offer. You did.
I remember we clicked. I was like, oh damn, I just met this really, really nice girl.
Aww.
And now like, me and my friends want to leave because we were not prepared for that seminar.
I think it was just, yeah. It was
I think we thought it was like a required thing to go to. And we're like, okay, like we're just gonna go there, it's fine. And then just a few minutes into it, we're like, we do not know this book.
You were like, yeah, this is just not our thing.
This is not it.
I think you did offer for me to go with you, and I was just like,
what a great...
I need to be at this thing.
What a great first introduction. It's like, hi, bye.
But honestly, you did offer, so I wasn't like, when I saw her on campus, I was like, that girl's mean. I was just like, yeah, that's the girl that I almost was friends with.
Like a fleeting moment.
We were so close.
But that was a teaser.
It was
a teaser. It was a little, introduction to what happened next.
Yep. Because then these girls asked me to live with them, and like I said, Inez and those 2 other girls that I almost sat with at the book club or whatever it was, happened to also be living there, and so just slowly but surely, I kind of got to know one another just a little bit. I was still really quiet and kind of intimidated by you guys because you were a whole gang and everything, and I was just quiet.
No need to be intimidated.
But one day the girls were getting ready to go out for Halloween, and I was braiding Inez's hair, and I just had this knowing, kind of like this, as we were kind of talking about yesterday. Yeah. I just kind of observed your behaviors in the kitchen.
So you observed like leading up to Halloween? Like
yes.
You kind of knew. Like how if you remember, like how like further back before Halloween did you kind of know or pick up on those habits? Like when could you tell?
I don't know specifically when I could tell leading up to Halloween, but I do know I think it was just a couple instances where we were in the kitchen with one another, and I kind of just like, not creepily, but I was just kind of like noticing you, and I was like, I can sense some anxiety here in the kitchen, and it looks similar to how I feel when I'm in the kitchen or when I'm eating. And I just knew, I was like, this girl has issues with food, and I just know it, because I do too.
You could spot a food anxious girly from another.
From one anxious food girly to another. I just had a feeling. And so I was braiding your hair because I was braiding the girl's hair.
Did a fabulous job, by the way.
Thank you for whatever your costume was or whatever.
I think we were like prisoners.
Yeah.
So
I was braiding your hair, and I don't even know how we got on this topic. I don't even know how.
I wish I knew.
I remember standing on the chair.
Yes, I vividly remember where we were. We were in like the corner of the kitchen. Like it was like my side of like where I kept my food and stuff. It was near like the kitchen table. Yeah. It was that little corner there, and I guess one thing just led to another, and
I think it was something like, oh, how is it going? How are you doing? I don't know why, but I think I barely like, let's inch our way to food. I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but I'm just gonna kind of prod a little bit.
Yes.
It was like little questions. Like, what did you eat for dinner? Or something like that. And not that, but something like that to get me there.
I think I vaguely remember you bringing it up.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way. Like, that, like, you know, were struggling with something.
Yes. Yeah.
And then that, you opened the door for me to then, and yeah, like, you kind of fostered this comfortable environment for then me to share.
I think that's what it was. I think it was like, yeah, I've been struggling. And you're like, oh, what are you struggling with? Well, honestly, I kind of have some food struggles. And I think that's when the floodgates opened. And you were like, that gives you an opportunity to say, yeah. But anyway, to summarize, we both had food issues, and eventually we connected over our food issue.
We did. We really did. And the rest was history. But, like, I remember just feeling so validated at that time, because all these years, I thought that I was hiding it, and that I was alone. And that's the thing about, like, disordered eating, is that you just feel so isolated and so alone because you don't want anyone to know. So you kind of put yourself in this trap, and just seeing someone else also have that same feeling was so validating. And especially in Halloween, it's those big events, I guess. And you know, when you're in college and you're getting ready and you're like trying to glam up and stuff, and everyone else is like glamming up, those were triggering moments. And that was a time when I really needed someone. I needed a light, and you were that light for me. And two, I was really struggling with my faith, and that's so funny that you say, like, during that time you weren't sure what your stance was with God or not, but I saw you as an inspiration to walk towards my faith that year. You helped me a lot with being more faithful and turning to God, and I remember you even saying, like, we all have our crosses that we have to bear, and this is one of them, and that's, like, kind of just stuck with me. But I mean, long story short, like, yeah, you were the one who helped me. I mean, I went to church. I started going to church at campus because of you. You told me, and then the whole thing with the SLS conference.
Oh yeah.
Like, you brought me to that, and so I'm forever grateful.
Oh, it's good because, like, again, thinking back to that time, I felt a little bit more like an ideological Catholic. You know, I was doing it because I didn't want to come outside the thought that there wasn't a God, because that's going to change my whole internal thought process and how I perceive the world. And that's really scary, you know, to change the way that you know, like, the hierarchy of how you see the world, you know, like, you grow up with that, and then to kind of break those walls down is like, whoa, now what's the world if it's not this way that I thought it was?
Right.
Scary. So I just kind of, but again, I didn't understand faith, but I guess I did just have this glimmer of hope of, like, for whatever reason, my mom has been faithful her whole life, and, like, she really believes, so, like, maybe there's something here that can help us with this issue.
I think especially because we were both in the pits of hell, we just were looking for something.
Yeah.
And still to this day, I'm not sure if I fully understand everything, but it definitely gave me that sense of comfort and peace. But yeah, I mean, we were also still, like, we were so young during that time too. We had such, like, a naive way of thinking, and of course when you're dealing with this struggle with, you know, binge eating and whatnot, you want to turn to something that will bring you out of that darkness. And yeah, I felt like, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, the number of times I would binge, and then I would just walk to that little chapel, and I would just lie in a pew and I'd just cry. And you know what I mean? So and a part of me is like, this is where I feel like such a fraud, because I'm like, it's not faith, so it seems, just to go and beg. You know what I mean? Like, it almost seems to have faith is to get up and to keep moving.
Yeah.
But there's like this longing of like something's gonna come down and save me and make this easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, I feel like a fraud, because that's not what faith is. Faith is like doing what you know that you should do with courage,
Right.
not having somebody come down and make you do something which would take away the necessity of courage. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that. Especially too, like Christianity, Christ at every single moment didn't back down from who he was. Like, I think of the humility and the courage, honestly. Like, I worked with the confirmation kids over at St. Pius, and I would give them kind of this this anecdote of like, you know, you all probably think like, you know, you tell your friends you're Christian, and there's kind of like being Christian's weird because, like, you know, you hear like, oh my God, there's Jesus, he saved me from my sins. Like, what does that even mean? You know what I mean? Like, why are you in love with Jesus? Like, who even is that? You know what I mean? It's like when you hear this stuff, it kind of gives it like a weird connotation where you're like, what, this guy like saved you? Like, what does that even mean? You're in love with this thing? Like, what even does that mean? And I kind of gave him the anecdote of like, he's not just like this fluffy man that like loves you. He's not this thing in the sky. Like, this is like, if you want to become an influencer and you're like, oh, I'm not sure, but like, you know what, I'll put myself out there on Instagram a little bit, and then you get nervous, so then you take things down, and then maybe you post a YouTube video, and then you go home and you're like, oh my God, why did I post that? And then you take it down. I'm like, Christ, if he were an influencer, he put himself out there every single time, and he did not back down from who he was. He said, I'm the Son of God. Every single moment, despite what the world said, despite what the Pharisees said, he said, no, I am here to, true, this goes back to love and mercy, I'm up here to absolve the sense that you need to follow the law perfectly, because newsflash, you can't, you're human, and I'm here to tell you that you need my mercy. And if I didn't come down, I wouldn't have been able to share that message with you, that you need love and mercy. And also, like, if I'm the Son of God and I never came down, then it's like, then God wouldn't have known how it is to be a person. He would just look down at us and see little ants and want to flick us off the earth, type of thing. But kind of explaining the, like, to follow Christ is to show up as who you are every single time and say, I don't need to prove myself to anybody. I can just be the person who I am supposed to be. And you know what? If that changes, fine. I don't need to be embarrassed if I change.
Just do you.
Seriously, I don't need to be embarrassed if I change. I don't need to be, again, I don't need to prove myself to family members or to siblings. Like, God is that thing within you that just says, like, again, it's, you can't even explain it, but you hear the phrase, like, rest in me. You can't even explain that, what that means, but it's almost like, just like, rest, like, I see you. God, that thing, like, I see you, I validate, I acknowledge who you are, I see all of your struggles. So, like, when the world is like, why don't you do this, why don't you do that, it's that thing that's just like, I see all of your struggles. You don't have to lash out at other people.
You don't have to go binge and bug out.
You don't have to go binge and bug out. Again, I keep moving into this stuff, and it's supposed to be about eating, but I don't even know how I got there.
It connects, I guess, and helped us in a way of healing, or helped us in that healing journey. I mean, I think it just goes back to, like, you crying in the pew. It's not necessarily like you may be begging. How I see it too is like, okay, you're in the pit of hell right now. In order to go see the light and to get back up, you need to hit rock bottom. That was you hitting rock bottom, and now that was the starting line. That was the start of your journey, and your indication of, okay, now how can I get back up from here? Like, God, how can you help me? Give me the strength to go through this.